to start this off with a question. How many of you know that drug trafficking is the largest criminal industry in the world? Okay? Now, here's a follow-up one for you. Do any of you know what the second largest criminal industry in the world is? I mean, you can probably start to speculate and guess on what it is now due to the question I'm asking on the title of this video. But how many of you knew that human trafficking was the second largest criminal industry before coming to this video? Most of the profits from human trafficking come from sex trafficking. And all across our country, sex traffickers are destroying the lives of young girls. And in some cases, boys too. In most cases, the victims never see a single dollar of what they make. It all goes straight to their pimp, who owns them like slaves. Now you may be wondering, how do girls get to this point where they are forced to sell their bodies for money? There are several ways they can get to this point. One way is that a pimp, or soon-to-be pimp, gets a hold of some sort of blackmail, usually in the form of revealing pictures, and threatens to release it if they say no. Another way is when a girl runs away or is abandoned from their home, and they feel depressed and lonely. They feel unloved and unwanted. The pimp sees the girl and takes advantage of her, taking her under his wing and providing her shelter and comfort and kindness, only to take advantage of her later by saying that he demands payment for the shelter and care that he has given to her. However, a third and much more common story from my research is a combination of the two. Here I have a clip from the CNN interview by a woman named Kat Rosenwald, a former victim of sex trafficking.
He was tricked again, this time by a friend's father.
It came in a place that you would never suspect it, and that was in my middle school. I was in 7th grade, and they blindfolded us and took us to a brothel in Broward County from Miami to Broward. They had paid her father $40 for each of us.
She doesn't remember how long she was there for and how many men came by.
And they let me know what would become of me if I ever told anyone. They told me that they knew where I lived, they knew who my teachers were, they knew what school, they knew everything about me. There was nothing I could do to protect myself, and at 14 years old, I didn't even know where to begin.
She dropped out of school and became addicted to drugs. Prostitution didn't seem so foreign anymore. She met up with a pimp. Her dreams were crushed.
I'm nothing but a drug addict and I guess a prostitute for these guys. At 15, I had given up on myself. I belonged to the street. I belonged to whoever would show me kindness or give me cocaine.
Kat is a perfect example of how one gets to this point of prostitution and sex trafficking. She was with someone that she thought she could trust. She was blackmailed and threatened. They knew her inside and out. They knew everyone around her. They knew where she lived. They knew how to destroy her life, which they eventually did. At 14, she was abused. At 15, She had given up on herself. She belonged to the street. She belonged to anyone who would give her cocaine. She belonged. She was property. She was a slave. A sex slave. Kat was able to go on and escape that life, and now works with law enforcement so that they may better understand the industry. She has also opened a non-profit shelter and counseling for victims of sex trafficking called There Is Hope for Me. Another question that we should be asking is that if prostitution and sex trafficking are so destructive, then why do people even want to pay for sex? Many men feel obligated that they should be sexually active after a certain age. That to be a real man is to be having sex. And many men can't find girls that will consent. Many may turn to rape. However, a great deal of them turn to prostitution. It provides the illusion of consent, while also being safer, as they are far less likely to be caught or reported. They get to fulfill these desires without the consent, without the constant fear of being reported later, and the guilt that he may feel for raping someone. To these men, these girls are just prostitutes. That they want to do this. Human trafficking is estimated to be worth some $150 billion a year. Drug trafficking, as an example, is worth an estimated $435 billion a year. The U.S. spent about $36 billion on cracking down on drug trafficking in 2015, while only spending a mere $15 million that same year. Less than 0.1% of the money that was spent on drug trafficking. Even though human trafficking is worth more than a third of drug trafficking. It is time we turn more of our focus and effort to ending this new, modern form of slavery.